All right, let's just jump right into this. I want you to imagine something. What if you could drop everything, and for one entire year, every single waking and sleeping moment, you dedicated yourself to mastering just one thing? And today, that one thing is the game of chess.
But we're not just asking if you get good at a board game here. We're asking something much bigger, much deeper. What actually happens to your mind, to your body, to the way you see the world when a single activity becomes your entire reality?
Well, the answer is pretty wild. You wouldn't just improve, you would fundamentally change. This journey wouldn't just be about learning moves. It would completely rewire your brain. It would physically exhaust your body, and it would push you to the absolute edge of what a human mind can do. So, to really wrap our heads around this transformation, we're going to walk through what a projected timeline of this insane year-long obsession would look like. We've broken it down into 4 pretty distinct phases, and each one has its own set of breakthroughs and, of course, challenges.
So here's our roadmap. We kick things off with the sponging phase where growth is just explosive. Then we hit the plateau, and trust me, it's brutal. After that comes theoretical mastery, where you start to think almost like a computer. And finally, you slam into the wall of diminishing returns. Let's dive into that first phase.
The first 3 months, man, they are an absolute whirlwind. This is that sponging phase we talked about, where your brain is just soaking up information like crazy, and the progress you'd make would be, well, nothing short of staggering.
And right away, a really fascinating thing starts to happen to your brain. It's called the Tetris effect. The chessboard literally invades your subconscious. You'll close your eyes and see squares. You'll actually start dreaming in the patterns of the Sicilian defense. The game is already starting to rewire the way you think.
And the results are very real. Let's say you start as an average club player with a 1200 ELO rating. Just the sheer volume of practice in these first months could rocket you all the way up to 1800. In just 90 days, you've gone from a hobbyist to a genuinely dangerous opponent.
But, after that initial thrill, reality kicks in. Months 4 through 9 are the grind. The easy gains are all gone, and this is where the really deep and honestly kind of painful work of mastery really begins.
Your whole focus has to change. It's not about learning simple tactics anymore. Now it's all about deep calculation. You have to start training your brain to see 10, maybe even more moves into the future, visualizing these incredibly complex scenarios with almost inhuman precision.
And this isn't just a mental challenge. It gets intensely physical. Your brain, this little 3-pound organ, starts burning a massive amount of glucose to fuel all that calculation. I mean, top players have been known to lose a significant amount of weight during a single tournament, just from thinking. You would feel physically drained.
But the reward for pushing through that grind is immense. By the end of this phase, your ELO rating is probably pushing 2200. Now, that is the level of an expert or even a candidate master. It's a level of skill that very, very few players ever get to see.
And just to put that into perspective for you, a 2200 rating puts you in the top 1% of all rated chess players on the entire planet. You are now truly elite. But that final hurdle, it's also the highest one.
In these final 3 months, you hit what a lot of players call the Grandmaster Wall. Progress just slows down to a crawl, and the psychological consequences of this total immersion become starkly clear.
Remember those huge leaps in skill from the beginning? That's all gone now. Now you're fighting for tiny, almost imperceptible advantages. Your improvement isn't measured in hundreds of ELO points anymore. It's measured in finding an edge worth a fraction of a single pawn's value. It is a true battle of inches.
And here's the real cost. After a year of this, chess isn't just a game anymore. It's the main filter you use to process reality. Your brain has become so specialized, so optimized for the cold, hard logic of those 64 squares, that normal human interaction can start to feel foreign, difficult even.
Okay, so the 24/7 experiment is a fascinating, if maybe impossible, thought experiment, but it does bring up a real question. Short of that kind of total immersion, what does a realistic path to mastery actually look like? Let's pivot and look at a blueprint for that. Now this is what a real blueprint for mastery looks like. And I want you to notice how much of this time is spent not playing games. You've got tactical warm-ups, deep theory study, analyzing games after they're over. But crucially, look at the non-chess stuff. An hour of physical conditioning to improve blood flow to the brain and manage stress, and a full 8 hours of sleep. That's not downtime. Sleep is when your brain actually consolidates memory and truly learns.
A huge part of this kind of training is just programming your mind to avoid simple mistakes. This anti-blunder checklist is something a master has to internalize.
Before every single move you make, these 3 questions have to become an automatic, reflexive part of your thought process.
Now, modern training has a new challenge: your relationship with computers. This quote is so key to understanding it. It's all about engine hygiene. If you rely too much on a computer just telling you the best move, you actually stunt your own growth. You have to force your own brain, your own internal engine to do the work first.
So what are the key takeaways for optimization? First, you need practical strategies, like the 20-minute rule to prevent board blindness. Second, you have to redefine what progress even is. It's not just your rating, it's about your speed of pattern recognition. And finally, and this is so important, you cannot neglect your physical fitness. In this kind of pursuit, the mind and the body are completely linked. Which brings us right back to our original question. After a year of total, all-consuming immersion, there is no doubt you would emerge as a chess master. But having reshaped your mind so completely around the logic of 64 squares, would you still be you? That's something to think about.